Have you ever felt like a tiny hamster running endlessly on the spinning wheel of life? Morning comes, your eyes barely open as you rush to check emails, scroll through social media, and dive headfirst into work with an overwhelming pile of deadlines. By nightfall, you're utterly exhausted, yet the to-do list looms just as long as before. In the relentless whirlwind of modern life, we often find ourselves trapped in an endless cycle of work, responsibilities, and expectations. Time slips by like a fleeting shadow, leaving us with the unsettling feeling that we are being controlled by time rather than mastering it. The constant pressure of not enough time and too much to do haunts us, keeping us in a perpetual state of stress and anxiety. This unending race seems to disconnect us from the present moment. One day, I stumbled across a quote. Time isn't something you can manage. You can only manage yourself. That simple sentence stopped me in my tracks and made me reflect. Could it be that all this time, I've been wrong, striving to control time instead of focusing on managing myself and how I use it? This question lingered in my mind, nudging me to seek answers. That's when I came across the book 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. Oliver Burkeman, a British journalist and author, is renowned for his weekly psychology column. This column will change your life, published in The Guardian. With profound insights into psychology, philosophy, and practical living, Burkeman offers a refreshing and profound perspective on time management. Amidst a sea of self-help books that preach productivity and efficiency, 4,000 Weeks stands out as a breath of fresh air. It offers a radically different view of time. Right from its title, Burkeman cleverly delivers a wake-up call, reminding us that the average human lifespan, no matter how long or short, is roughly just 4,000 weeks. He challenges us to break free from the illusion of controlling time, urging us instead to embrace our limitations and live more realistically. In 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals, Burkeman masterfully intertwines profound philosophical ideas with practical advice. He delves into the deep-seated human fear of time's finiteness and argues that it's our acceptance of these limitations, not control, that is the key to truly mastering our time. Now, let's dive into today's discussion as we explore these thought-provoking ideas together. The productivity trap and the vicious cycle of busyness. This is a phenomenon that many of us can relate to. I used to be a devout follower of productivity, constantly searching for new ways to optimize my time and get as much done as possible. My days were meticulously planned, down to the hour. I always aimed to work efficiently and felt guilty during any dead time. But then, I realized something profound. The harder I tried to control my time, the more stressed and anxious I became. My own experiences revealed a truth that Oliver Burkeman discusses in his book, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. The more we try to cram into our finite time, the busier and more anxious we feel. Productivity, instead of bringing freedom and ease, becomes a trap that leaves us drained. Burkeman explains this productivity trap in depth. When we strive to work more efficiently, it often leads to being assigned even more tasks. And so, the cycle continues. Free time, instead of being used for rest and enjoyment, gets filled with new tasks and expectations. The author compares modern life to Sisyphus' inbox, drawing a parallel with the Greek myth of Sisyphus, who was condemned to endlessly push a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down every time. In our lives, this myth mirrors the feeling of trying to clear out our inbox. No matter how many emails we respond to, new ones arrive almost immediately, creating a perpetual sense of being overwhelmed. Then, there's the bottomless bucket list, a similar trap that extends beyond work. Even in our pursuit of enjoyment and leisure, the productivity trap looms. Endless lists of things to do, places to visit, and experiences to have stretch on infinitely. The more we try to experience, the more we feel there's still left to be done, and the cycle of busyness and anxiety tightens its grip. This relentless pursuit of productivity and busyness robs us of balance and joy. Instead of delivering the freedom and ease it promises, it becomes a burden that exhausts us physically and mentally. To escape this trap, we must confront the limits of our time and focus on living meaningfully, rather than being endlessly consumed by the illusion of getting everything done. Part 2. Losing connection with the present. The temptations of the vicious cycle of impatience and distraction. Do you often find yourself distracted? I certainly do, constantly being pulled away by a million things, from the noise around me to random thoughts in my head, and the most seductive of all, my smartphone, always ready to pull me away from my work with its endless notifications, messages, and social media updates. Burkeman refers to phones and social media as intimate distractors, likening them to uninvited guests. Instead of feeling annoyed, we greet these distractions as if they were close friends, always ready to rescue us from boredom and stress with trivial chats and mindless entertainment. Burkeman shares an intriguing story to highlight the power of distraction. A story about a watermelon being tortured with rubber bands. It sounds strange, right? But in 2016, 3 million people tuned in to watch a live stream of 2 BuzzFeed reporters wrapping a watermelon with rubber bands until it exploded, a process that took 45 minutes. Think about it. None of those 3 million viewers woke up with the intention of spending their day watching a watermelon explode. Yet, they couldn't look away, eagerly waiting as each rubber band was wrapped tighter, anticipating the watermelon's inevitable explosion. Burkeman couldn't help but marvel at how this bizarre example illustrates just how easily we can be distracted. This seemingly humorous story reflects a sad reality. We live in a world overflowing with temptations and distractions that are so enticing. We easily lose control and allow them to steal our precious time and focus. What's even scarier is that these distractions don't just waste moments here and there, like watching a watermelon burst. They subtly infiltrate our lives, making us spend entire lifetimes on things that don't truly matter. In the end, we look back, realizing that we've lived a life consumed by distraction. Why are we so easily distracted? Burkeman argues that distraction stems from our fear of facing our limitations. We constantly try to avoid discomfort, be it in work or relationships, by turning to distractions. Have you ever heard of the Zeigarnik effect? It's a psychological phenomenon named after Russian psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who noticed that waiters tend to remember unpaid orders more clearly than paid ones. This happens to us too. When we're in the middle of something, our minds are consumed by it until it's finished. This lingering feeling creates discomfort, making it easier for us to be distracted by other things instead of focusing on what we're doing. For example, when you're writing an important essay but keep checking your phone, scrolling through Facebook or watching YouTube videos, that's the Zeigarnik effect in action. You're trying to avoid the discomfort of unfinished work by turning to distractions. Similarly, when we face difficulties in our jobs or conflicts in relationships, we tend to seek distractions to avoid feelings of anxiety or insecurity. We immerse ourselves in social media, movies, games, or other pleasures to forget about our current problems. However, this avoidance is only a temporary solution. It doesn't solve the problem, but only deepens our immersion in distraction and disconnects us further from the present moment. The art of embracing limits, finding freedom in life's boundaries. In Part 2, we've explored the ailments of our age: busyness, distraction, and impatience. So, how can we break free from this vicious cycle and live a more meaningful life with just 4,000 weeks at our disposal? In 4,000 weeks, Time Management for Mortals, Oliver Burkeman doesn't offer a magical formula. Instead, he slowly leads the reader to a philosophical solution: the acceptance of limitations and the art of living in the present. Step 1. Letting go of the illusion of time control. Have you ever felt like a king trying to control time at your will? You spend time and energy meticulously planning each day, each hour, and get super frustrated whenever something disrupts your perfect plan, only to realize that you've never been able to control time the way you want it. Burkeman reveals a harsh truth. Time is not a kingdom for us to rule over. It's more like a river, constantly flowing, regardless of our attempts to control it. As the author writes, you can't truly manage time. You can only devote your limited attention to one thing or another, and you will always have more to do than you have time for. Burkeman references Blaise Pascal, the French mathematician and philosopher, who recognized this truth in the 17th century. He pointed out that we are foolish to wander endlessly in spaces that belong to ourselves. We try to grasp the present through the future and organize tasks beyond our control into a time we believe we can manage. Attempting to control time is like trying to control a river. We can build dams, create canals, but the river will always flow the way it chooses. Therefore, rather than striving for control, we should learn to accept and flow with the current of life. As Burkeman advises, let go of the effort to be the master of time, and instead become its apprentice. Be flexible in changing plans when necessary, and don't be too hard on yourself when things don't go as expected. Step 2. Practice the art of finiteness. After introducing the idea of accepting the finiteness of time, the author realizes that readers need a set of tools to put this philosophy into practice. First, you can master productivity through the fixed quantity method. You've probably seen how our to-do lists resemble the Hydra monster. Cut off one head, and 2 more sprout in its place. Burkeman suggests that instead of battling this monster, we tame it using the fixed quantity method. Rather than writing down every task in a single endless list, divide them into 2 categories: open lists and closed lists. The open list is an endless storage, while the closed list contains a fixed number of tasks, maximum 10. Every time you want to add a new task to the closed list, you must complete an old one. This method helps us avoid feeling overwhelmed by a mountain of tasks while training us to focus and make better choices. Second, you can optimize the benefits of intense focus through the sequencing method. In an era where multitasking is considered an art, the truth is that multitasking is a trap. It scatters our attention and reduces work efficiency. Burkeman recommends practicing sequencing, which means focusing on one task at a time until it is completed. This method not only improves our work efficiency, but also trains our patience and helps us fully enjoy the process of working. Third, decide on things that may fail. In life, we can't be great at everything. Striving for perfection in every field will leave us exhausted and frustrated. Burkeman advises us to decide in advance what areas are acceptable to fail, identify areas where we don't need to excel, and accept that we may not do them perfectly. Finally, we need to learn how to acknowledge our accomplishments. We often focus on what we haven't done yet, forgetting to recognize what we've already achieved. This leads to feelings of frustration and a lack of motivation. Burkeman suggests creating a completion list to track your achievements, no matter how small. Looking back at what we've accomplished helps reinforce our self-belief and maintain our motivation. Step 3. Focus on the present. In the battle for our attention in the digital age, it's easy to get swept up in notifications, messages, and social media, forgetting that the present moment is the most valuable thing we have. The author repeatedly emphasizes a key message throughout the book. We have, at best, only 4,000 weeks to live our lives the way we want, and we never truly own time. We can only await it. We often believe we have 3 hours or 3 days to accomplish something, but in reality, we never really possess it. Anything can happen that prevents us from completing our tasks as planned. A boss could suddenly demand urgent work, the subway might break down, or we could even have an accident. The obvious, yet easily forgotten truth is that your attention can only be directed to the present. So instead of constantly worrying about the future, we should cherish the present moment. Focus on what is happening around you. Feel the beauty of life, and don't let irrelevant thoughts pull you away from the now. Step 4. Learn the art of rest to recharge for the marathon of life. The final message Burkeman wants to convey is that rest is not a sign of weakness or laziness, but an art to be learned and practiced. Just like a machine needs to be turned off and restarted to function more efficiently, we, as humans, also need quiet moments to recharge both physically and mentally. The author refers to research by psychologist K. Anders Ericsson, who spent years studying individuals who reached mastery in various fields such as music, sports, and science. Ericsson discovered that one of the key factors contributing to their success was their ability to rest intentionally. These masters didn't just work effectively, they knew how to rest properly. They took time for activities that relaxed them, such as walking, listening to music, or meditating, to refresh their minds and spark creativity. Burkeman advises us to learn from these masters by listening to our bodies and minds, recognizing signs of fatigue or stress, and taking time to rest and relax. Don't hesitate to pause the marathon of life to breathe and enjoy the scenery around you. Allow yourself to be a little lazy, to enjoy stillness and peace. Only when we know how to rest can we continue running with a refreshed spirit and a heart full of energy. Oliver Burkeman's 4,000 Weeks is truly a profound reminder of the finite nature of life. Time is not something we can control. Therefore, what we need to do is focus on managing ourselves and how we use time. We must avoid the productivity trap, where the more we try to do, the busier and more anxious we become. Let's learn to accept our limitations, focus on what truly matters, live fully in the present, and rest in the right way. Slow down, appreciate every moment, and create a meaningful life within our finite time. I hope these reflections help you gain new perspectives on time and life, and find a way out of the spiral of anxiety and busyness. Life is finite, and every moment that passes is unique. So I hope both you and I can live each moment fully, so when we look back, we won't regret wasting our precious time. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you found today's video helpful, please share it with someone you love and support Becoming Better by liking, following, and turning on notifications for new videos every week. If you have any feelings or thoughts, please share them in the comments below. Once again, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.